Hello, my name is FreeHappyDolphin and welcome to the review of the game that long time been on my wish list and is finally out. It's a roguelike deck building game called The King is Watching, and its unique twist might just blow you away. Let's find out if that's enough for a great score and a high place on our Verdict series leaderboard. The first category in our evaluation is short-term engagement. I knew right away that this game would hook me for hours, hiding fascinating mechanics behind a simple looks. The rules are easy to grasp. You place buildings, which are called blueprints, produce resources and units to grow stronger and survive multiple waves of bosses. But while it's easy to learn, it's of course hard to master. Resources are limited and sometimes by a bad luck you might not even get some of those, which of course affects what units you can produce. Units you can produce also are not dropped in guaranteed orders or combined with other unique factors like perks, artifacts or spells. Each run feels like a unique puzzle to solve. And of course, here's the real twist that I did mention, your King's Gaze. The gaze is core mechanic, only part of the castle that King watches, produces resources or unit at any given time. Of course, there are some exceptions, but this makes every second an efficiency challenge as you decide where to focus your gaze and what to produce. It's hard to cover every single mechanic in one paragraph, so check my playthrough in Press Start series for more. But to sum up, even after double-digit hours, each run feels kinda fresh and engaging. However, there is one surprising negative from quality of life bucket which we don't usually cover here, and it's that there's no save button. Yep, you either have to surrender run or never close an app, which is a bummer. Still, the game's engagement is top of the field, I think, earning 4.5 out of 5 stars. Next is long-term engagement, or in other words, replayability and complexity. Here's where the game shines with a variety. In every single run, you don't feel limited to one strategy. There are many building upgrades and artifacts to make tons of strategies work. Beyond the battlefield, of course, there are all the unlocks roguelike fans love. Different kings with unique abilities, new advisors, and tons of new cards and other improvements. Of course, many difficulty levels. I should note that there aren't many different scenarios to play so far, but this game has a huge potential for new content and DLC, so I'm really looking forward for that. With a good balance of constraints to make game challenging and tools to work around them, I think it deserves one of the top scores here as well, 4.5 out of 5. Third category is visuals and audio. While it can compete with masterpieces like Frostpunk 2, which is on our leaderboard, the game's effort is solid, even simplistic. For many players who love this genre, visuals don't need to be masterpieces as long as they make sense together. That said, beyond not being top tier visually or having, let's say, super addictive soundtrack, some elements could be sharper for even just more comfortable gameplay. For example, since this isn't a pure auto battler as you can heal or buff units in the combat, clearer health bars, attack numbers, or just better ways to distinguish units clumped together would really help. I'll touch on those issues on the next category, but for visuals and audio overall, I would give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And here we go, handling and user interface. Even though overall I think this game does a very good job, I must say that this is possibly the lowest score I ever given in this category, so let's break down why. First, as mentioned, you cannot have any saves during run. I know it's not just a simple save button, maybe new tech tree researches and other elements complicate things for programming as you need to update things not only in between of the runs, but this is the first time I've seen a roguelike skip this feature. Next is hotkeys. I found a few, but they're still hidden and neither I or developers will spill the secrets. Let's break it down like this. Of course, you cannot also edit them, and they're not mentioned anywhere in the menu or even in tutorial. In tutorial, you only hear about the space as a hotkey, and that's it. And in the settings, you can only see sliders for audio and few choices of resolution. And then there is a bag of issues that frustrate someone like me who bases decisions on numbers in games like this. For example, I calculate production efficiency to make choices, but a 20% boost on certain tiles or effects isn't reflected in the stats. Only the same base stats will show on the card, even though it will work faster. Another issue: attack or HP bonuses on units not from the troop training aren't visible, so you cannot really evaluate numbers before seeing healthy unit on the combat and of course catching it with your mouse to view the stats. But of course this is not even consistent, as some stats do transfer to troop training even though it's coming not from troop training. So basically it's a mess and you cannot really see the full stats, the full bonuses the unit gets, and what actual numbers of attack and HP will be. Only percentages but come from different sources. No info also can be found on transformed druid units. You just pick up a card and need to look for those stats on the battlefield after transformation. Also no details on the remaining unit limit upgrades or next level upgrade costs. No upgrade costs you can see on the gaze as well, that you just need to remember from previous games. And even sometimes the balance feels off. For example, selling blueprints always yields only 5 denarii, which is local currency, regardless of rarity, which is kind of balance issue. So these are just few examples from top of my head, and of course this makes it really frustrating to play. Does this make game unplayable? Well, no, it's still great, but I hope these will get fixed. Until then, still I need to evaluate that, and for this reason the category scores only 2.5 out of 5 stars. And last is Uniqueness and Wow Factor. I was truly amazed by the fresh mechanics and rich content in this brand new game, adjusting for the content in top roguelikes that already have accumulated. I think this one will keep players hooked for many hours. Poor UI choices take a toll, but somehow it remains one of the most impressive recent games for Wow Factor. I'll cut the talk here and just give it 4.5 stars out of 5. With all negative factors already mentioned in the fourth category, I will skip this section for this time and I will sum up the scores to make it 3.9 star rating for The King is Watching, and landing it on really high 5th place on our leaderboard. A great score for a great game. Thank you for watching this review. This was Free Happy Dolphin, and see you on next one.